I'm here with Rimma Nehme, who is a magician, but also a program manager and architect for Cosmos DB. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to be here.
I think first question is, what's Azure, Azure Cosmos DB, and maybe a bit of history or why has it come about?
Sure. So Azure Cosmos DB is Microsoft's globally distributed multi-model database service.
Yep.
It is, the way I put it, it's the best thing that could happen to the world of data, and Microsoft is very lucky to have this tech. So the history behind the service, we actually, while externally it's perceived as a relatively new cloud service, it's actually almost now 9 or 10 years in the making inside Microsoft.
Wow.
So we started the project in the late 2010, internally known as Project Florence. And yeah, there's a little bit of history behind that name. Yep. And it was intended to address the needs of the internal Microsoft products. Microsoft obviously is running global scale operations. Its products are global. Examples are Office 365, Universal Store, Xbox, Skype, Teams. All of these applications have a global user base. They bring massive amounts of data. They have the user base spread across all 7 continents, all over the world, and they needed the data platform that could scale to those needs, serve the data closer to where the users are, provide global scale operations, provide elasticity, provide multi-master replication, and be able to run with really, really solid SLAs. And so we started the project internally first to address the needs of Microsoft. And then as a result of that, we believe the rest of the world would benefit from the same capabilities. And we launched it as a Cosmos DB to the external third-party customers.
Yeah, right.
So
nine years.
Yes. So why was it called Project Florence? Yeah. There are two reasons, 2 anecdotes, whichever one you want to believe in. So the first one is, if you've ever been to Florence, there is a famous dome. Yes. Designed by Francesco Brunelleschi, who is viewed as a pioneer architect of the new Renaissance movement. And so we thought that Cosmos DB will spur that Renaissance movement for data in the new age of modern cloud native applications. And then the second anecdote is Dharma Shukla, who is the founder and the technical fellow and the founder of Cosmos DB. When he was on the vacation there, this is where the first version of the code started working. So we named it as Project Florence, and then it flourished into what we know today as Cosmos DB.
Yeah, right. Well, it could be both, really. It could be both. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. So it is one of the fastest services today in terms of growth, adoption. We've got great momentum. Actually, Forrester just published last week and announced Microsoft as a leader in big data NoSQL Forrester Wave. A lot of it is thanks to the evaluation of Cosmos DB. The services obviously has a number of core differentiated capabilities like turnkey global distribution. This is the ability to basically take your database and make it span across any number of Azure regions. Actually, 2 weeks ago, we announced the new regions in South Africa.
Yes.
And by virtue of us spanning across all the regions, we're the only database that can actually span it across 7 continents worldwide. So you can go and stand up your database spanning across, North America, Asia, Pacific, Africa, and Latin America.
That's very impressive. It really is actually very impressive.
Yes.
Technically, I don't even know how you do that, but...
Yes. So somebody said probably North Pole is very jealous. So, yeah.
All of the 2 people that live there.
So the core capabilities that, are what we call, they lie in the foundation of Cosmos DB is global distribution, horizontal scalability by virtue of partitioning in the back end, 5 well-defined consistency models. This is our pride, something that is truly differentiated. The fact that we can provide not just the promise, but financially backed guarantees about consistency, throughput, latency, and availability. The fact that it's also multi-model and multi-API service, so you can basically pick whatever the language and the API of your choice, and we try to meet developers wherever they are and wherever they're coming from. So if they have heavy investments in the open source, they can bring their favorite tool chain, pick MongoDB API, Cassandra API, or our core API, SQL API, and really, really develop applications very, very fast.
So how does Cosmos relate to, say, table storage or blob storage or any of the other kind of storage that are there in Azure already?
Yeah, so Cosmos DB, as I mentioned, it's a globally distributed multi-model database platform. So whenever you need to go and operate with your data, if you need scale out backend for your OLTP-like workloads, so think of it operational workloads where you need to perform a lot of transactional processing, key value lookups, a lot of low latency access to your data, and then add to it global distribution capabilities, also elasticity for both storage and throughput on demand anytime. This becomes your de facto go-to solution.
Right.
So if you, largely your data is dormant and you just append and occasionally perform some scans, maybe storage, blob storage will be a way to go. But if you're building these modern apps, like I gave the example, for instance, if you're building web or gaming or mobile app, and you need that near real-time access to your data, if you're building like e-commerce platform or gaming platform, if there is a little bit of a latency delay, your customers are going to go somewhere. Think of it this way, if you're opening up your mailing application and it takes you 5 seconds to download all of your messages, you're going to go somewhere else. Or your chat application, or your gaming app, or you're performing a purchase, and if that you're sitting and waiting, you're going to go somewhere else. So this is where Cosmos DB truly, truly shines. And then going forward also, we see a lot of synergy in terms of customers using it as their de facto operational backend data store, but they also want to run analytics on top of that operational data.
Right.
And so in that regard, when the data is dispersed across multiple regions worldwide, and latency is super, super important because that time to insight is super crucial because you want to make sure you either provide a personalized recommendation or you react to a particular event in near real time. So you want to bring analytics directly where your Cosmos DB data lives and either run a machine learning algorithm or perform some inferencing on your deep learning model. And so we see a lot more momentum right now going forward, more towards operational analytics on your operational data as well.
Yeah.
So
you're talking a lot about latency and SLAs, and I kind of know the answer, but just how low is the latency?
So the service gives you an SLA of less than 10 milliseconds for reads and writes at the 99th percentile, but this is what I call our utmost conservative SLA in promise. On average, which is at the 50th percentile, for the reads you will see somewhere between 1 to 3 milliseconds, and for the writes you will see somewhere between 4 to 6 milliseconds. So this is on average.
It's just on it. Like 10 years ago, we almost didn't even get that on a local desktop.
I know. Now it's in near real time, and then with the multi-master capabilities, this is the ability where you can perform reads and writes anywhere across the world. All of your writes are local, and reads are also local to where your users are. So in this sense, it's almost in near real time. So we humor ourselves. We say that Cosmos DB is the only database that can beat the speed of light. Because if you perform writes and reads, typically there is a speed of light of performing the round trip. But with Cosmos DB, we can do it in less than 10 milliseconds.
You heard it here first.
So how does it work? You can connect me offline and I'll do the math and I'll show you how we do it actually.
Hang on, I'll just get the whiteboard. No. It's just impressive. So what are the good use case scenarios? Like you already sort of went through some of them, but I'm just wondering if there are ways, places where you shouldn't use it, for example. Can you get into trouble using it somehow, maybe, if you don't know exactly what you're doing? And if that's the case, where should I go to learn about it?
Yeah, so I always say that with any new technology, especially that is as disruptive as Cosmos DB, you absolutely should learn before you use, because that way you can take the most of the advantage of what the new tech gives you. So if you come and bring all of your habits from, let's say if you've been a database administrator for the past 30, 40 years, and you're used to normalizing your data, and you bring all of these habits into Cosmos DB, you're missing out on all of the cool and really, really awesome kick-ass capabilities that Cosmos DB offers you. So you should absolutely learn about the best practices in terms of optimizing for performance, scale, cost, and what are the other recommended reference architectures. If you're building, for instance, event sourcing based architecture with the microservices, what are the best practices? If you need to create something like materialized views, what are the best practices there as well? The use cases where we see where it truly, truly shines is the workloads that need what we call low latency, high throughput, and also the workloads are very bursty. So retail, e-commerce, gaming, IoT, anything, anywhere where your workloads are write heavy,
Yep.
So you have a lot of interactivity. So this is where IoT becomes really, really, sort of canonical example.
Yes.
E-commerce, web, mobile applications, also they need that backend lightweight database that scales, that is very elastic, very easy to start developing with. That's another scenario we see very, very prevalently. Okay. The industries that we see adopting it very heavily is, as I mentioned, retail, financial services. We see a lot of adoption in energy sector, oil and energy, because again, IoT heavy.
Yes.
Car, automotive industry, manufacturing, very also getting a lot of momentum there as well. Education, government sector, also again, the diversity of the data is super, super attractive.
Yeah.
And also anytime a company has global operations.
So where should people go and find out more apart from obviously Cloud Guru?
Yeah, so you can learn more about Cosmos DB by going to www.cosmosdb.com. Also at Azure Cosmos DB, that's our Twitter handle. We're very, very active. We share all the latest announcement news.
Cool.
And if you ever need anything regarding Cosmos DB, we have also mailing alias called askcosmosdb at microsoft.com. This is a direct line to our engineering team. And we have a single-digit millisecond latency response rate there as well.
Love it. Love it.
So, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Rimma. Appreciate it. Cheers.
Thank you.